Look.
Good evening, welcome to Success in the City. My name's Helen Webster. I'm with the lovely
Sandra Scott, and our guest today has had to go out and come back in again because we've had a few technical hitches this evening, but Joe Davis will be joining us very shortly.
Yeah, hopefully. And that's what happens when you've got an Apple Mac.
It doesn't, because I've got an Apple Mac, okay? It's just you need Google Chrome to access StreamYard. You can't do it on Safari.
Everybody who comes on who has an Apple has like a nightmare, don't they?
Well, I don't think that's the case, but anyway. There we go.
We're going to hang on a little bit for Jo. I think she's gone off. I think she's going to try and download something onto a Mac and then try and access us again. So, Halloween yesterday.
Yeah.
How was your Halloween?
My Halloween was good, really good, but unfortunately it was raining and I definitely overbought on the sweets. So I got some M&S on Queen's Drive, and they'd reduced the witch's teeth, which very cleverly M&S had done. They were raisins covered in yogurt, and I thought all the kids have got it, we're not having them. So they reduced them, but they were nice. And then they had these sour things and fangs and stuff. So we had them in a bowl. I panicked and said to Ronan, get some more sweets just in case, because last year quite a few came. So Ronan went and bought chocolate bars and things like that. And then, of course, we had like about 3 lots of kids. But, you know, Ronan's girlfriend's here visiting, who's Italian. And she was like, she thought it was the cutest thing she'd ever seen in her life. This little 3-year-old knocked at the door and went trick-or-treat with the parents, obviously. So that was that. So that was cool. But I love Halloween, and we had a pumpkin on the path and everything. And I did all the table because Ali's really into Halloween. So I did all the table in black and like with an orange thing on it, and we cut out little pumpkins and things with him and put them on the table and stuff. And I made her a pie because she loves pie, chicken and ham pie I made for her. So there we go.
Perfect. Well done.
And what about you?
So I was out, wasn't I? So Phil had been and bought 2 bags of celebrations. And anyway, when I came in, he'd already gone to work and it was full. And then this morning it was empty.
Have you got a mouse?
Yeah, a mouse and a dog. No, so he said, I said, anyway, I said, they all came at midnight, the trick-or-treaters. So I just ate a whole box of celebrations.
Well, to be honest with you, I've had a whisper when I got in. I'd had nothing to eat all day at all. And I had a whisper, and I've just shoved pasta down with sauce quickly today before the show, which I don't normally do, but I was so hungry.
I know, I had like a whole, you know, like Phil bought like the 2 big bags of celebrations. I've eaten like a bag and a half of them. All the bounties are left because they're disgusting.
I love bounties with the coconut in them. Honestly. And we had squash and little pumpkins and things that we got when we went the other week pumpkin picking to the wonderful pumpkin field I went to. Anyway, so we're going to be eating them because they're little ones and they're going to get cooked because they're not going to waste, and that's that.
So do you cook the skin on them ones?
No, I don't. No, I don't. Only because I think they're too tough. I know you might do on a courgette. It's all the same family as a courgette and a marrow and everything.
I don't know if you like baked it. Could you eat the skin, or have you got to peel them?
I don't know, maybe, but I've never done. What I do is I cook them with the skin on.
Yeah.
And then I just take it out.
And scoop it off.
It's a pain otherwise. It's so tough, isn't it? Yeah, but so there we go. So that's Halloween. But I love Halloween anyway in a big way. So
yeah, brilliant. So have you got a shout out to any kids, any little people who've done amazing things?
Any little people this week? I've got loads of shout outs to grown-ups this week, you know. Have you
shared something on on our page?
Having a look. And have you got any shout outs to have you got any shout outs to
I just want to shout out to all of the little people for doing like ace Halloween things, you know. Some of the little costumes were ace, weren't they? And the photographs are brilliant of them all. And Autism and Motion did a Halloween bingo.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely chocker, and like they were all dressed up and stuff, and because they all love a bit of bingo down there, so they were playing bingo and having an amazing time with the
Helen, you're very astute. I did indeed. I shared a post this week from a lovely girl called Hallie Thomas that Swanside Community Centre had put on. and it was a young girl, and her hair was really long, and she's had all her hair cut, and to donate to the Little Princess Trust to make beautiful wigs for children. Isn't that lovely? And her hair was like past her waist, and she's still got it quite long. She's got a little bob actually. Harry, if it's anything like a man, that'll be long again in a fortnight. So,
and then she can donate again.
Yeah, a massive shout out to her. I thought, how
too cute. Yeah, they're dead clever, aren't they, when they do that? One of our other friends did that, didn't she? Whose little girl was it? I think it was Gillian Connolly's little girl. She did that. She grew her hair and then donated it to the Little Princesses, which is a gorgeous thing to do, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah. So successes this week, Sam?
Successes this week. I've had a few little successes, really. One thing is my Spanish course, it was my first one since all the pandemic and everything, where I had a group together. So it's the last week tomorrow night. So, and I grow dead attached to everyone. It's gone really quickly, the 6-week course. They've been lovely, and some people have been poorly and things like that. We've had a really good time. They're a nice group of people. So I'm a bit sad but the course has been great, and I rewrote all my course and everything. Big successes. We've got people doing Ukrainian. So people are starting on Saturday morning. So people who volunteer, people who work for charities and helping, and we're sort of looking after them and doing a special one, which is a different course. So I've got a lovely Ukrainian teacher who's gorgeous. So we're going to run the sessions together, but she'll be doing all the language aspect. So I might be like a guinea pig practicing and get, mispronounce everything. So I'm looking forward to that. So it's our first Ukrainian course. So we've done it in the alphabet, but put it in English underneath how to pronounce it. So I love it. Every time we do a new language, I'm ecstatic. So that's good. What about you? Have you had any successes?
I've had a lot as well, and that's good for you, like for to get Eurovision ready as well, isn't it?
Oh, I'm obsessed with it. Absolutely obsessed with it. We've got an intern starting on Wednesday who's helping us with the campaign for all of that. Get Eurovision ready, absolutely. So I'm really, really excited. I tell you what other exciting thing happened, in case your mum's watching or later. Your mum gave me a dress, which was lovely, and you passed that in today. So I'm going to try that on later. And I loved it straight away as soon as I saw it. So
she did a little magic cutting, didn't she, to to hem it. So you can hem it, and it'll be all gorgeous then.
I know, I feel bad for her though. Like I might ring her and say, "What's up with it? Why don't you want to, and alter it for her or something?" But I just loved it. I thought it was really nice, so that was cool as well.
Brilliant.
And I got a Costco card, so hurrah!
Yeah, I gave you the Costco card, which has been in my car for 3 months.
That's okay, because if I'm out and about, I can get a jacket potato.
You get a jacket potato and also the petrol.
Brilliant.
That's what I've been doing, yeah.
Okay.
So Bex is listening in. So Bex is Joe's running buddy. So Bex, we're waiting for Joe to come back in, hopefully.
It was too tight.
Oh.
Well, it's been missized, Barbara.
Yeah.
It's been missized.
So Bex, hopefully Joe will get back in once she's downloaded Chrome or whatever she's trying to download.
And this is the life of a policewoman in our city. She could be dealing with a crime, dealing with anything.
Yeah, she couldn't go to the gin she should have been going to the gin festival on Friday and couldn't, but I'll let her talk about that if she wants to. Something happened in work. But no, we went to see Blood Brothers last night in the Empire. So I've never seen it before. I didn't know the story, didn't know anything about it.
Did you cry?
Sobbed.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Thomas thought it was hilarious that I sobbed.
Did he?
Yeah. So there was my mum and dad and me and Tom, because Phil was working and I'd got the dates wrong. So Thomas came, but it was good because he's doing it for his GCSE, so it was good for him to see it like on the stage.
Brilliant.
But it was unbelievable, so emotional for lots of reasons, lots of reasons.
Yeah.
It wasn't sort of the end, and it was right the way through. It was sad, like the
It's a
choices.
really powerful tale as well. So when they do a musical, the quality, the acting and the vocals are always fantastic. And of course, this is the home of it. It was first performed here, like our day out as well, like many things like that. So here she is. I think our Jo's
She's coming back in.
Hopefully.
We're getting her in. I think she's here. We're going to click add to stream. She's in.
She is. You're on your phone. That's okay. Can you hear us now?
I can, yeah.
Yay. Just turn your phone that way, Jo. And then you'll go big.
You really want that?
There you go, love.
That's better, isn't it?
Need to put it on something. I'm really
so what I find works as an encyclopedia of wine. That's what mine's on. Just to make it a bit higher.
So thank you, Jo, for giving your time today. We've had a little shout out to some kids, but we'll ask you to shout out to some kids as well.
Total technophobe, guys.
Right.
So any little people, Jo, who've done amazing things for you this week?
That'll do.
So any young people who've done amazing things you want to give a shout out to? She's struggling, I think.
Oh, we are. Yeah. Sorry, it's just connected to me headphones. Total technophobe. Can't do anything.
You can. You're on, and that's all that matters now.
Oh, it's your sister. Beth.
It's not a real sister. It's a running sister.
Real. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So Jo is. We'll find out all about Jo as we go along. And Bex is listening in, and Nicola, who are Jo's friends. So I'm sure they will join in with our conversations as we go along, because they're listening in. So Jo, have you got any little people you want to shout out to? Any kids who've done amazing things this week?
Little people. I think I've got to give a big shout out to little Violet Lloyd. Because she allowed us to have a little night in with her parents the other night, and she slept right through. That's all.
Well done, Violet, for staying fast asleep so all the grown-ups could have a boss time. Yeah, well done. What success for you this week, Jo? So Sandra's finishing her course and has had an amazing course, and she's got a Ukrainian course starting on Saturday. I went to see Blood Brothers last night, which was unbelievable. What success have you had this week?
I think just it's quite sad, really. Just getting through the week. We've had a really busy time in work, and I think my marathon training's just had a bit of a backseat because I just felt really exhausted. But I think the win is that at 4:00 today I finished work, so I'm not back in now till 10 on Friday. So that's a bit of a win.
Yeah, have a little bit of time for you, isn't it? Because you've had a bit of a hectic week, haven't you?
Definitely.
Busy week, yeah. Okay, so we're going to play this or that. So Julie's my cousin. Hi, Ju. We're going to say hello to Ju. So we're going to have a bit of this or that. Sandra, do you want to go first? Do you want me to? You go first, San.
Yeah, I'll go first. Okay.
Yeah.
So, marathon or Tough Mudder?
I think I'd have to go with marathons. I've never done a Tough Mudder. I've done similar, but like shorter distances. But I think marathons because I don't know. I just like the long run of it, and you kind of have a battle with yourself throughout. So even though the Tough Mudder would be like a team effort, so that would be something like you do with all your workmates or a group of friends, and you'd all drag each other through it, and obviously you'd end up, in the pub or something afterwards celebrating. But I think the marathon, you have a battle with yourself, and you'll go through, this is amazing, this is terrible, I'm not doing this ever again. And then you'll feel the elation of, I'm nearly there, and you'll go up and down. And when you finish, you feel like you've really achieved something, and it is a fantastic achievement.
It is a fantastic achievement. What about you, San? Would you rather do a Tough Mudder or a marathon? In your head.
A marathon, because in my head, yeah, because I could walk it eventually. Yeah, no, not a Tough Mudder, obviously, because I could drown and suffocate in the muddiness. No.
So I've done Tough Mudder
I know.
a few times, but I've never done a full marathon. So I've
I've
done.
never done
That's a
either.
challenge. I think that's the
Yeah, I
challenge then,
know.
isn't it?
I know.
Get
So
Helen in a marathon.
I'd like to do like a New York
Hang
marathon.
on a minute. Hang on. What did you do in Cornwall?
No, I only
What
did
was
25 miles.
it was a
Oh,
vertical mile, 25 miles.
It was a
not.
trail run, wasn't it? It was like an off-road trail running. So
I
it wasn't like,
question the
same.
legality of the event.
which I think, in all fairness, I think a trail one is easier than a marathon, because you sort of go over like different terrains and things, and then you walk a little bit like up the hills and stuff like that. Whereas I think on a road marathon, I think you just sort of constantly go. So yeah. But no, yeah, I would like to do a full marathon. I think, yeah.
I
It's on my
thought you were
list.
going to say a marathon or a Snickers, and I was going to say they're both the same.
Okay, Joe. Baseball or basketball?
Basketball.
Oh, I know, yeah. The LA Lakers, I know. I thought you were a baseball fan as well.
No, I'm actually a New York Knicks fan, but I like purple, so I bought this.
Well done.
But I've been, when we go to America, we try and go to America either once a year or once every other year. And whilst we're there, we try and get as many sports in as we can. So one of the things that we'll do is try and find a race. But if we go to like we've been to Chicago, we've been to New York, we've been to LA, and we've been to try and get as many basketball games as we can. We've even been to some in Florida. So we tend to go when the basketball season's on, so that we can tick another one
So you
off.
take
So
another one off.
definitely basketball. And he's in the other room at the moment just watching the basketball. So
Oh, excellent. What about you, Sam?
Baseball, hands down, because I went to school in Canada, didn't I, when I was young, and came here when I was 8, and they start you there with it. So I loved baseball. Absolutely, it was my favourite thing. And then when I came to England, they didn't play it, and I was devastated. And they were going, "We've got rounders," and I'm like,
not the same.
"No, not the same." But I used to love playing baseball as a kid. Absolutely love it.
Yeah.
So
I'd say baseball, and I really want to go to the Yankee Stadium.
I've been outside, but I missed the tour, so I had to just walk around the outside. And then I bought a ball in the shop, and I thought that my life was made. But I would really like to go there.
Yeah, that's me. Go on, Sam.
Well, I was wondering if we should move on a bit because of time.
I think that's a good show.
So we can hear, because otherwise we're cutting Joe short, really, aren't we?
Yeah. I think that's a good show. Okay, so we normally do 3 this or that, Joe, but because of the techie issues, we're just going to carry on. Okay, so this is Joe. Joe, I've known Joe for a long time, I think. Maybe, I don't know. I was trying to work it out before.
Wow.
I think it might be about like 8 or 9 years or something like that.
Yeah, because it was through Cash for Kids, wasn't it?
Yeah. So Joe's done loads of stuff for charities and still doing loads of stuff for charities, and does loads of running and all other bits and pieces. And we're going to find out all about that. And I just need to know when she has the time to do all that she does. And she goes to work and is running a marathon. Well, you're not running a marathon, are you? You're doing the 50 miler, aren't you?
Me and Bex, who's obviously listening, and Nicola as well, when she's better, when she's recovered. Please rest, Nicola. We are signed up to do the Manchester to Liverpool Ultra. So I felt like the only way to obviously leave Manchester was to run out of it. And I can say that because I worked in Manchester for 16 years. So, but yeah, it's on the Good Friday on the 7th of April, and you're basically running a bit of a trail. So it's all paths, it's not roads, it's paths, and like through the back roads, through like Warrington, Widnes, Runcorn, and then over onto like the railway where you come through like Speke and then Halewood and everything. And a lot of the fast people normally do it in probably about 7-8 hours. We have a cut off, and I think we're looking at just getting through in the 14 hours that it says that you're allowed
Yeah,
to do.
definitely.
So, but yeah, teamwork on that one, definitely.
Definitely. I was last year I took the dog for a walk, and they finished at the top of by Aintree Racecourse, on that
Yeah.
field. And I was walking along, I was thinking, what's this? And and that's where they finished, and I saw them all coming, and it was the Manchester Liverpool. But we're gonna go right back, Joe. We're gonna go right back to when you started running, how you got to do Cash for Kids, and all the stuff that you're carrying on doing now. So we're gonna take it away, Joe. And then Sandra and I will just butt in and ask you questions as we go along.
At the same time, usually, because you've got a very full-on job as well. Whilst you
Yeah,
finish listening.
I know. So obviously I used to run when I was in school, and then growing up you obviously start going out and meeting people, and then you don't want to do clubs and stuff after school. So I was a bit more of a sprinter, and I think anybody that went to Holly Lodge will know that they only joined the cross country team because Mr. Howell was actually quite fit, and we used to run around the field after him. So that was the only way that we really got out and did anything in the winter. So, but yeah, and I'm still friends with him now because he's actually in Liverpool Harriers. He's one of the main guys. But he really encouraged us to do stuff, and every year he used to do the London Marathon, and you used to think, wow, how can he do that? Every year he used to get a good for age, and I thought, I wonder if ever you would ever, be able to do that. Anyway, we fast forward, and it took me a lot to pass my fitness test to get in the police because I'm very strong, but I just couldn't be bothered running. So I've gone from being a runner at school to being can't be bothered. So I passes my fitness test, I gets into the police, and then I must have been in for about 3 years, and I was chasing somebody in a foot chase. It was a drink driver, and I felt like I was going really fast, and all my shift just ran past me, and I was thinking, what's going on here? And they catch him, and I'm out of breath, and I thought, no, I need to do something here. So then I signed up for the Race for Life, and then after signing up for the Race for Life, I think I did that a couple of years, and then I started getting into the Santa Dash. So I'm doing 5Ks. Then I go, what's 10K about? And then what's this about? And I'm just going from one to the other. I got involved with it was called Run Britain, Run Liverpool then, which is Alan Rothwell, and it's BTR now. So I got involved with all their races. I was just constantly signing up. And then I think my first half marathon was Hellsby, which is hills like that. That was good. And then I just kept getting the bug, and I got into the Great North Run. And then at the Great North Run, I thought, do you know what? The next step is the London Marathon because nothing can top this. And I think it was about a year and a bit after I was standing at the start of the London Marathon going, what have I done? And I remember thinking, I was with my friend and it was raining, and he went, have you got a jacket? And I went, no. So I was actually considering running in a super dry hoodie to start with. But I knew Phil would have killed me if I'd have had to leave that at the side of the road because he bought me. So I was just like, what do I do? And then anyway, by the time the race started, it had all gone off and the sun was coming out, and I thought, right, this is it. And I'm not fast. I do it because I enjoy it. Obviously, if you speak to me during training, I will tell you otherwise. But if you speak to me when I've just finished and I've got my medal and my sweets and everything, then I'm happy. And I think that's all I do it. I just do it so that I can eat really fun food and really nice things afterwards.
And is that where the fundraising started? Did you start doing it for fundraising, or did you just do it for you?
Well, I think the Great North Run, all of my friends got in through the ballot and I didn't. So I went to, I think it was Click Sergeant, a kids cancer charity, and I got a lot of really great support from them. And I think at that time, you're talking about 15 years ago, you had to raise like £300. I think it's about 800 now for a Great North Run place. So I just basically got into everyone at work, got the money, and then, as I say, ran the Great North Run. And then I think the year after, I was like speaking to my husband Phil, and we were saying, you know, what can we do? So we obviously done the London Marathon, and then we decided to get in contact with a local charity so that we were seeing where our money was going, rather than, you know, a charity where I have to keep contacting London or somewhere
Mhm.
else. So I got hold of Carol Clare in Cash for Kids,
Yeah.
and you know, she thought I was crazy, but I think she just fed the crazy as well, because she used to
As-
mention things to me whilst we were at a fundraiser with, you know, a bit of wine and stuff, and I would agree to it, and the next day I'd be like, yeah, I agreed to that, didn't I?
Joe, you're amongst friends because you're talking to two people. One who did a boxing match, which clearly wasn't me, that was Helen. And I lip synced to Beyonce. I'd
I've
had
done that as well, yeah.
started singing and dancing before the thing. Honest to God, that was just hilarious. So we know that Carol Clare is very good at convincing people
She's
to do.
convincing, yeah. So obviously with Cash for Kids, it wasn't just I ran a race and then gave them the money. I did other things like they'd ask you to do, like, do I want to do bucket collections. So I think one year me and my mum had a really nice day. We did the bucket collection at the Royal Court. I think Helen did it later on that day or earlier, because we had to message you and say that the buckets were so full, they were so heavy, and we had to take some round to the tower and stuff. But yeah, we watched the panto. So I haven't watched the panto with my mum since I was about 8. So
Oh,
that was a really nice thing. And then we went for some tea afterwards. And I think it just makes you feel like, you know, when I was growing up, we did have, you know, we did struggle a little bit. And I think it was just that giving it back,
mhm.
and saying, you know, we weren't on the page where we would have to go to a charity, but, you know, we were at pages where sometimes you would have to go and get a coat from the Oxfam or something, because things just wouldn't stretch. But I think giving it back in that way and helping other people, and obviously people knowing where I've come from. I'm not come from, you know, loads of money and cars and that. I think my mum only passed her driving test in mid-40s. So it was just, it's just to give back and feel a bit better that, you know, we're helping people who are in either a situation similar to ours or worse, because
Mhm.
that's what's going to
And but
happen
you
as
also
well.
give back massively in the job you do as well, Joe. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what our show's about is people doing great stuff, people who
Mhm.
have success in the city, either great achievement or doing things for other people and that. And I think you give every day in every aspect of your life, what you do and all the fundraising and everything. You know, and Helen was saying you have specifically now set up a fundraiser for some particular causes, haven't you?
Yeah. So it was, I think it's probably about just under 2 years ago that the idea was put out there. And obviously, I'm a police officer. I was in Greater Manchester Police for 16 years, and now I'm in Lancashire.
Mhm.
But I've got a lot of friends that are in Merseyside, and I started working with a guy called Mark Hoban, who on a run, set up like a memorial run a few years ago for the police officer Dave Phillips, who
Mhm.
got who was killed on duty on the Wirral. And then we've then started coming together and doing other little bits with like a group of people similar minded to ourselves. And basically, we set up a fund which is it's called the Doyle Phillips Fund, or Doyle Phillips Foundation, and it's for Neil Doyle, who obviously was killed as well, whilst being a serving police officer, and Dave Phillips. And we've put it together, and basically we are plugging the gap um, for supporting families of police officers who get like illnesses, terminal ill, or, you
Mhm.
know, anything like that that isn't classed as a crime, if you like. So there is another charity, Carer Police Survivors, that supports people who are um, you know, killed on duty, well, their families, and, you know, their shift and everything, and they support the families, supply counselling, days out, weekends away, and that's what we're planning to do, and that's what we are doing for anybody. It's just in Merseyside at the moment, but obviously world domination is the I think the objective. So, but we're
Brilliant.
doing a lot of fundraising rounds, and I think I'm doing my ultra for the Doyle Phillips Foundation. And yeah, that's that really.
We went to a day that you organised.
I think it was the launch, wasn't it? It was the launch of
Yeah,
the.
it was, yeah.
So it was just. I think it might have been between COVID sort of being able to, when we were allowed to come out a little bit, wasn't it? It was down at the at Riverside.
It was last year, so not the September just gone. It was the year before, because
Yeah,
we were due to have our 1 year anniversary celebration again, which was going to be absolutely spectacular and on an absolutely incredible scale. But unfortunately, Her Majesty the Queen passed away, and we found that it was only right, with her being our boss as well and our leader, that we shouldn't be hosting such an event. So we have postponed that event, which will be in April next year.
Oh, brilliant. And so part of that was there was lots going on, wasn't there? There was a run, because we did the run, and we've got the medal and the t-shirt and things, and then everybody came together, and it was great because the police dogs were there and they did their little bit, and the horses, and then the helicopter came, didn't it, and did a little show and stuff like that. So is all of that sort of stuff planned again for March?
Yeah, so in March we normally do, it was March, April, we normally do like the memorial run, which is the run where and I think one year when you did it, it was online, and we had people from all over doing the run. Doesn't matter where you were, you just ran that distance, and the distance is the 2 officers' collar numbers added together. So I think that year I took it one step further and did 13 miles, because the start of the collar numbers is 13. I think it's 13 and a half. So I ended up doing 13 and a half and running around every police station. I think I went Eaton Road, Walton Lane, Tuebrook, all the way, and then into town, St Anne Street, and then we finished at the HQ. So that was the memorial, that was in the middle of COVID, and that was a huge success. Last year we did it, or this year should I say, we did it at the police club again, in Otterspool, and then we will be joining up the fun day and the memorial run, so it's just going to be one spectacular day. Obviously, if you want to know any more about that, there's a lot of information that will start going on our Facebook, which is just the Doyle Phillips Foundation, if you want to follow that.
Yeah, well,
we'll share that on the page, and we'll share all the information when it's happening as well, and promote it like we do for all our guests. Because it's a great, what I thought was, what a lovely family day it was. And I remember the weather was still quite nice when it was. And everyone was just having so much fun, and there was loads of free family activities for kids. And I remember everyone standing around seeing the police dogs, and it was so well done. It was a really good, positive day out, I thought.
And that's what we want. Obviously, we want everybody to come together, so it doesn't matter whether you are police staff, police officers, or just people that want to support this cause, friends, extended friends, everybody. And every step of the way, we want to include everybody. And at the end of that day, it was like we'd had so much stress at the start, and then you're trying to keep everything together, and again it's like spinning plates, and then at the end we were packing up, and there was like a big rainbow over the police club, and we all just stood there and was like, yeah, it's a sign from the lads to say, we've done really well, and we've done them proud, sort of thing.
Yeah,
so
100%. Yeah. And there's lots of volunteers, and people can get involved like through volunteering and stuff like that, can't you? You've got to give a big shout out to your mum, because your mum's like chief volunteer, isn't she?
And everything that I do, it's my mum and Phil's mum, and they're normally either near a cake stall or near something where they have to be organised. I think last year she was selling merchandise, I think, last time, taking everybody's card details.
Yeah. So I want to rewind a bit, because we sort of like jump forward a little bit to what you're doing now. I want to rewind to so for those who know beat the Reaper, which was an amazing run. It was a 10K, wasn't it?
10K, yeah.
In Croxteth Park, and people dressed up as the Reaper, and they jumped out and scared people. And I was really fortunate to be a Reaper one year, which was hilarious. And it was only one of the girls I was running next to, and I was saying her name, and she was like, "Get off, shut up!" And then she went, "I know it's you because of your trainees," because she recognised me as trainees. But there was a big Reaper, wasn't there? And he used to set the day off, didn't he?
So we had our very own runner, Keith Peacock. He used to be the Reaper. He never said a word. He just walked around, but he knows everybody. So he used to volunteer at Croxteth Park Run, and he used to scare everybody. And if Bex is going to say now, she screamed so loud, I actually thought someone had been injured outside Croxteth Hall. The scream, it was blood curdling, and it was just because Keith was scaring everybody. And that was it. It was a fun run. I think at the time when we set it up, there was a lot of serious runs about. I think it was either, runs for charity that were like the Race for Life, or it was a serious run where people like really competed. We just wanted to have fun, and we ran another race in Southport, which was a 10K, and the only costume Phil could get was the Reaper. So he jumped as the Reaper, and the reaction of people, we were like, this is an idea. This is what we should do. So we used to have about 10 people, maybe 15, who would go into certain parts of the park, and they would be told, don't touch anybody, scare people, run with people, help people. So some of the ones at the back were pacers as well. And we used to have Terry Forrest as well, who's like a super quick runner, and he was the Reaper. And if you beat Terry Forrest, you got a free place the year after. And then I had to start instructing Terry to not go as fast because people weren't beating him, and I thought no one's going to sign up next year if they can't beat Terry. So yeah, but it was just one of them that was so funny, but it did take an awful lot of work, and also it's normally around the time now that we tend to go on holiday. So it was just hard work, and I think COVID just killed it off. But and then people, I think we were out at Parkrun the other day, and people were saying, when you're bringing the Reaper back, and I'm going, oh, I'm not. I'm really not, because it is so much hard work, and obviously with everything that's going on, it's just too much, and there's so many races out there.
Cash for Kids, aren't you? You're still
They don't do as many like parties as what we used to do. We used to do like women's ladies' lunches. I remember a wine tasting. I remember the beginning of it. I remember that one at the Hilton, but yeah, it was always ladies' lunches. We used to do the premieres of like Absolutely Fabulous. We did Bohemian Rhapsody, and they were all fantastic events. But again, since COVID, there's been a lot of stuff that's had to stop. So, I'll be getting involved hopefully in Mission Christmas, which I think starts in a couple of weeks. Because I was speaking to Laura about that. But yeah, I've got to find my days off in between training and and work.
Yeah. So a good couple of years ago, something happened to you, didn't it? I don't know whether you want to tell people about what happened to you.
Yeah.
Because I just think it's a real important part of like your life and the story and things like that. And I remember seeing the photograph of you to how you are now, which is for me is the biggest inspiration for people.
Yeah, so I got married. That's not the bad thing that happened. But I think it was about 5 or 6 months after we got married. I had a brain lesion which blocked the left side of my brainstem, and I was sat on the couch, and as I've turned my head and then turned it back, it basically just took everything off the left side. So it is a lot of people say it's a stroke or a type of stroke, but it is like a blockage in your brainstem. So I was basically starved of oxygen on that side. I was taken into hospital about, I think it was 24 hours later, because I went into work and I was speaking to one of the doctors in custody, and he went to me, kind of sit you down and look in your eyes. And I was going, I just feel sick. Anyway, he's looked in my eyes and he says, I think you've had a mini stroke. And I was like, what? So I get taken home, taken to hospital. The stroke doctors can't see anything, so they send me home, and then I end up in hospital. Fast forward a week, I'm taken back into hospital, and I'm taken to the Walton Centre, where I end up being a patient for about 2 weeks under a fantastic doctor, Dr. Bolson, who thought I was an absolute nutter because whilst still undergoing my treatment and getting updates, Phil was outside on the phone booking the Disney marathon because I said, I'm not being funny, but I want to do the Disney marathon next year and this isn't stopping
Yeah.
me. If you have to push me around it, I really don't care. Anyway, I did make it. So 10 months after I was in hospital, I was on the start line of the Disney marathon with my husband, Phil, my friend Anna, who is a doctor as well, just in case. And we ran and walked. It took just under 7 hours, but it was absolutely amazing. And we raised an absolute fortune for the Walton Centre. So,
Was
yeah,
that
good on the
amazing?
Walton Centre as well.
Do you think that helped you because you set this goal for yourself and thought, I'm going to do that?
Yeah, I did. And then I think when I was in America, I used to have like panic attacks. And it was because I don't like crowds. I'm not very good in crowds now. So like Christmas shopping, I always go like really early in the morning and during the weekdays when I'm off. But we were in a mall and I had like a proper little breakdown. And I spoke to Anna and she said, you've concentrated on your physical fitness, but you've not actually looked after your mental fitness. So I watched my body go backwards and then I've had to build my body back up to what I sort of wanted. And yet I've not took into account my mental aspect. And that's where I was getting, if I was getting too tired, I'd start to get, ratty, and I'd also get like panic attacks. I'd start breathing funny and people didn't know what was going on. I don't think I knew what was going on. And I think that, obviously at the moment, mental health is a big thing. And that, what she said to me, I thought, you know what, I have, because that's all I know. All I know is to get up and go to work and get up and go running as well. And if I can't do either of them things, which at that time didn't know whether I was going to make it back to work, they basically wrote me off and said, no, you can't come back because you're not fit. And I think when I turned up, they were all like, oh, hang on, what? But then I've had to go back with the mental health side and speak to people and have a bit of counselling. And I've used a couple of apps. I think it's the Calm app where
Yeah.
you just draw in circles on your iPad, and it's so simple. It's free to download, but it works. And even now, I still have it because sometimes in work, I just want to throw something, and you
Yeah.
have to just gather yourself, be calm, you know, and go from there, sort of thing. But it's one of them things where you've got to look after both in your recovery rather than just one or the other. So I learned a valuable lesson there.
Absolutely. And it's a trauma that you went through. Your whole life changed completely, didn't it? And only because of your
Yeah.
determination and focus, you were able to get, and probably the exercise you'd done before must have helped you how physically fit you were to get yourself.
Yeah, and I think the consultant said to me that because of my fitness, I'd not been hit as bad. Now, obviously, I do have some side effects and things that will never amend. I have bad temperature control, so if I go out in the rain, it stings on one side of my body. So I ran a race at the end of the Tour of Merseyside a few years ago in the height of the summer, but because it was raining, I had a jacket on, and everyone was going, "Why have you got a jacket on?" I was going, "Because it stings." And until the rain stops, I can't take the jacket off. It gets a bit better, but again, I get very cold, then very hot, so I have to just be careful of like how cold and hot I'm getting. But yeah, you find with a lot of people, if they've got like a base of fitness, they will bounce back. And I don't know whether that's a mental or a physical or both together, like that determination.
I think to run a marathon, you've got to have a particular grit and determination and mental
Screw
strength.
loose.
Yeah, and a few screw looses as well. Yeah, and for those so a lot of people will know Jo, and Jo doesn't run on her own. Jo runs with a four-legged friend, and now you run with two four-legged friends, don't you?
Yeah.
So there's a Facebook page, isn't there?
So we've got a Facebook page called Cooper's Marathon Journey, which was set up when Cooper ran the Live Bird Marathon with me, which was about 4 weeks before we actually, in fact, no, it was 10 days before we went to do the Disney. And we only managed to do 17, 18 miles. And then it got too cold. And I thought, you know what? It's not right. It was on New Year's Eve. We decided to quit. I didn't get a medal because did not finish. But the dog got the medal. So the dog has a medal that I will never have because that race has been taken over and you get a different medal now.
Oh,
so
and
then I took him to McDonald's and we had a cheeseburger each. So
Oh.
yeah. But yeah, he's a superstar, and unfortunately he doesn't run that far now because he's 10 years old. But his little sister Kobe, she's nearly 3, and she's been running with myself and Bex. She did 10 miles, not last Saturday, the Saturday before. She doesn't know it, but she's doing about 12 on Thursday into town with me. But yeah, so she's I think she's better. Now that she's settled down, she's better than me. Even when she comes back in, she just kicks off and runs around the house. And I'm like, I've got no energy. She's still going.
Yeah, so they're Rhodesian Ridgebacks, and it's quite funny because Phil will run with so Cooper's much bigger, isn't he? He's a really big lad, and Phil's really tall. So you'll see Phil, and nobody says like hello to Phil. They all say hello to Cooper,
No.
The dog and stuff like that. Everyone goes for the dog, don't they?
My mum was at Park Run once in Croxteth, and she said, "Has Phil and Joe finished yet?" And this woman said, "You mean Phil Cooper, not Phil Moody, Phil Cooper?" And I was like, "Oh, that's hilarious." And my mum just went, "Yeah."
Yeah. So everybody knows Cooper. But he must have ran. Did you tot him?
No, I reckon he's done more park runs than both of us. I've done like 130 yards. Phil's done 120 yards. But obviously, when we'll either run together or when I was off work, I'd run with Cooper. When I was in work, Phil had run with Cooper. So he's probably done loads. But you can't register your dog for the barcode because it's not fair. And obviously, people don't like being beaten by a dog, which it does show because the amount of people when you're in Croxteth anyway that try and outrun you as soon as you get to the house because you've got a dog. They don't like being beaten by dogs. It's just like when you run the London Marathon, you don't like being beaten by the rhinos or people dressed up as Carlsberg bottles.
I've seen the dogs with you in Croxteth Park when we did the walks, Helen, a while ago for inclusivity.
Yeah.
And they're big dogs. Oh.
Yeah, they're cool. Yeah. So Poppy runs like she'll run park run, and we just hang around the back now and we just wait and then we just plod off on our own thing because some people don't like it, do they? Getting beaten by the dog and stuff. Yeah. So what's the most exciting thing that you've done then, fundraising wise? Because you've done loads of mad stuff.
I think I've got to say it's abseiling off the tower, Carol Clare again. On the second year of so I used to always do, when she'd say we're doing 24-hour broadcast, 12-hour broadcast, I'd go, right, I'll get me a treadmill and we'll get a team together and we'd just run on a treadmill, half an hour stints. We'd have a team of 6 or 8 and we'd just collect, and it would be with my old running club, which was Liverpool Running Club. And we'd get as many people, and people would come and help us from the running community. It was great. But then one year I was on a treadmill when everyone was coming down the tower abseiling, and my mum said, "You want to do that, don't you?" And I was like, "I do. I wish I'd have done it. I wish I'd have been brave and just said, yeah, put my name down." So the year after, I was the first one down, and I remember Katie saying to me, "Come on, you can do this." And I was freaking out. I was like, no. And she said, "But you run a marathon." And I went, "This is not a marathon." I was stood, and it was like, 10 to 9 in the morning at the top of the tower. The wind was blowing. We thought there was going to be, I think later on that day, they had to cancel because there was a storm. So I was good enough. I made it down. Me and this other girl, Emma, we made it down. And oh my God. It was just, one of the best times ever, just dangling. It sounds weird, but you were just dangling from the tower. And then every time you're in town now, you look up at the tower and you go, I'm one of 200 people who have abseiled off that. In fact, it might even be 100. I can't remember, because I think we have 50 each year. But again, I'm not sure. But it's a small amount of people who've gone up there. And to be quite honest, I automatically thought that they had a little hatch that they were just going to let me out of. I didn't think I had to go all the way around it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was probably the most crazy one.
Our friend Martin Sang, who's as airborne, and he's been on the show, and he went down in a cheerleader's costume, and
Yeah.
and it was absolutely, that must have been the same day when it was raining and teeming down. It was awful weather. It really was.
I know, and then I think I was watching my friend Chris, because I'd said, "Oh, Chris, I'm doing it. You need to do it." So he's done it, and the day that he was doing it, the ropes blew away, so they had to bring everybody inside, and we were all like, so the ropes had like blown around the other side of the tower, and I was like, "Oh my God," because I was going, "I'll do it again if you've got a spare space." Well, after that happens, I went, "No, I'm not doing that. Not at all. I'm done now. Yeah."
It's not for me. Not for me, that. So what's so you've got your Doyle Phillips. What's the future then? What other mad challenges are you going to do?
Well, it doesn't sound mad going from Manchester to Liverpool, but you've got a time limit. We're working on a
50 miles
strategy of running and walking. You've obviously got to eat. You've got to drink at the same time. I think after that one, I know people will go, "You will." I don't see me signing up for another one of them. I'll probably do. I'll probably carry on with marathons. I would love to get into the New York Marathon. Obviously we've run in America, we've ran in Florida, we've done like the distance classics in Florida, and we've ran in Paris. We've done the very first Disney half marathon, we've done the Disney marathon, and we've ran in Vegas. We've ran we've done Rock and Roll Vegas. That was one of the most incredible things as well. So we like running because we also like eating when we're on holiday. So if we run, we can eat more. But I would like to do the New York Marathon. I've done a little bit of it when we went in earlier this year. We did our own little tour where we ran from our hotel to the Friends building, to Carrie Bradshaw's, and then to the Ghostbusters building, and just had a little mess about. I think it was about 3-4 miles, but there was nobody there. It was middle of the morning. Everyone's going, "What are you doing? It's Sunday." But it was a way to get in all those things that we needed to do. So
Definitely.
and then we went
definitely.
for a big
You'll
dinner.
definitely do the New York Marathon if you want to do it. You'll definitely do it, 100%.
Oh, even if I'm like good for age 90, I will get into that. I will just keep doing it until, but yeah, I think that's one of them. Yeah.
Amazing. Brilliant. So we do have a little format. We're going to crack on with everything else, but you are an inspiration and you do loads, and we'll share all the Doyle Phillips stuff that people can get involved with, because it's a phenomenal charity, and from you've raised so much so far, and the money that you're going to raise is going to do so much good for the families and the support of everybody. So yeah, it's amazing. Red face moment, something that you can laugh along with, not at. San, have you got one?
Joe first. Let's go to Joe if
Joe
she's
first.
first.
I've got so many. I come out with so many silly things. I don't know. There are so many.
They run in the Arctic.
Run the marathon in the Arctic, Alison. That's my cousin, Alison. I'd be too cold if I did that. Red face moments.
One you can share with us. Well, I'll tell you mine whilst you're thinking which one you're able to share. So I said I only had a whisper, which is true, but I sat on it. I was teaching a young person online before, and I was like, what? And then I realised, and I sat on it. So I've got cream chairs here in the dining room. just before we came on the show, and I was like, oh, thank goodness I hadn't gone out.
So I'm going to share mine. So I'd gone to the shop to get something and couldn't get any money out, and I didn't want to use my card and things like that. And then Phil sent me, I sent Phil a message, said, oh, something, I only had this much cash or something. And he said, well, you should have just got a Mario.
A Mario?
Yeah. So I said, what? And he goes, a Mario Lanza. Do you know what a Mario Lanza is?
No.
So it's a tenner. Right. So I said, how can it be a tenner? Because it doesn't even rhyme. Like Mario Lanza doesn't rhyme with tenner.
Yeah.
He is a tenner, isn't he? Singer-wise.
And I think that's tenuous.
So I was like, but I was like, but it doesn't even rhyme. So I was like,
think that's a red face. I just said exactly the same. There's nothing embarrassing. What's a red face is when I didn't know the singer, what's his name, Andrea Bocelli, was blind. That was a red face. And you know, I teach Italian, Joe, as well, and my friend also used to teach a bit of Italian for me as well, Barbara. And she just cries laughing, and if he's on the telly or anything, she's texting me, ha, blind, you know, because she just thinks it's the funniest thing ever. I said, I thought he was like concentrating when he was singing. She just laughed so much. But yeah, there we go. So that's embarrassing, not the Mario.
Concentrating when he's singing.
Go on, Joe. Have you got
Probably loads of people will go, oh, I've got a different one for you, But I remember when I first met Phil, I went on a night out and I met all of his friends and all of their wives. And I thought, right, I'm going to wear a new pair of jeans, get myself ready, all nice. And we went to Rigby's. And as I've sat on the seat in Rigby's, it was like leather seat. I've gone, oh, I've sat on something wet. Well, I hadn't. There was a massive rip in my jeans, like just under my bum cheek. I've got all these people who don't even know me, like sat with me watching, and I had to say to one of the girls, I've got a rip in my jeans. Everyone can see me bum probably. And then obviously as soon as I say that, they all know about it. And everyone's trying to get me scarves. And everyone's going, let's have a look.
Oh
no, let's not have a look. Is it big? And everyone's going, yeah, your bum's really big. And I'm like, nice one, yeah, thanks for that. So yeah, that's the first impression that I left. But yeah.
Well, it went well. The date went well. You know,
yeah,
so shout out to the grown-ups, San.
Oh, loads this week, definitely. There's loads of people doing absolutely really cool things, and I've shared a few. And you know, when I said before about the little girl who'd cut her hair for charity for the wig, so the Swanside Community Centre who put that on, and I just saw it, and then they started following us because we shared it. And what they put was another one of our young people doing something, and I thought, well, they must be helping these young people and bringing them on and doing amazing things each week. And there's so many organisations in the city doing really good stuff with young people, trying to help them. Yeah. And Charlotte's Bright Side, you know, Angie Churchill's lost her daughter and set up this charity years ago, Over the Water. And originally it was there just to provide like an activity place after school for kids. Well, this week they've set up a massive, very well-stocked community shop, which is over there. And people can pay £3.50 and take 10 items, or £5, take 15 items. And I think how fantastic is that? And that's opening Monday, Tuesday and Thursday morning. So absolute shout out to them. And then we shared you on our page, Joe, because you were coming on today. So shout out to you, because it's not just all the running and all the things you do to help local charities, but the fact you're a police officer as well, and you do all of that. And I know you're a police officer out of our area, but, you know, it's fantastic. And you've set up this charity for the people who've lost their lives as well. So I think you're bringing so much to the city locally. And finally, both the Battler and the Katoomba, who both played Katoomba Saturday night in Bold Street in the Halloween parade, and Battler the Albert Dock, all in costumes. They don't get paid a penny for it. You know, it's just something great they do for the the city. So that's it.
Brilliant. So I'm going to give a shout out to Dana.
Oh,
So Dana has been, she hosted one time when
she did.
I think you were on your halls or whatever, and she graduated today from Chester Uni, and she's had a really, really, really tough,
Yeah.
definitely a tough year, you know, personally, and a tough 2 years with everything, and for her to actually go through with it all and pass is unbelievable. So graduation, so big massive shout out. We're like really, really proud of her.
Yeah.
And there was somebody else I wanted to shout out to, but I can't remember.
Have you got one, Jo, while Hel's having a think?
Yeah, I'm going to shout out. I know they're both watching, so I'm going to shout out to Bex. Bex is a school teacher. She loves dogs, and Bex has also, I don't think she'll mind me saying, she has basically beat cancer in the past 18 months, and she's going to be running with me with on the ultra. So she is an inspiration.
Yes.
And massive shout out to her, because I know how hard she works. She also works with kids that are not in mainstream school and have been put into, you know, for behaviour reasons into like another school. So she does work hard, and she takes a lot of flack, but she is an most incredible person. And Nicola as well, who's had an operation and needs to rest. So yeah, she's coming back from an operation, and again, she will be with us on the race as well. So yeah,
Brilliant.
shout out to them.
Big massive shout out to them, and Beck's tattoos.
Lots of emojis.
Tattoos amazing, and if you ever see her, she's always dressed as a mouse. So she's always in park.
She runs around Crosby dressed as a mouse, and I think I remember telling me friends, little girls, about her in lockdown, and obviously time's gone past, and then they've seen her running, and the excitement on their face when they saw her running dressed as, I think it was Mighty Mouse. She has like a little yellow and red dress that she runs in, and little mouse ears. So yeah.
Big shout out to her. Right, so Jo, it's our time is up, and you can close the show with a positive quote mantra that you live by. So yeah.
I think when things are getting tough, I just say, like, to myself, you've come through worse, and there's always every problem can be solved. There's no need to make, you know, drastic anything. It is, every problem can be solved, whether it's solved with your friends in a group or solved on your own. Everything is talkable, and we should all talk a little bit more.
How lovely.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for giving your time.
Thank you.
Enjoy your days off.
I will.
Happy running, and we'll share your journey on our page, and we'll show the Doyle Phillips Foundation as well. So thank you to San, and we will see everybody next week. Thank you.
Bye.